Okay, this is the third and final part of a series devoted to important shuffles for odd-sized packets. So for the bottom card, why don't we go ahead and show you the shuffles that leave it alone. The bottom card won't move, even though it seems like it should have gone somewhere. And the fact is, most of the other cards in the packet have moved around. But the bottom card has been just moved right back to where it started. Okay, so very valuable. You have to realize that knowing where the card is at any stage gives you tremendous power. If you lose track of the spectator's card, you're toast. Okay, there's not much you can do. But if you have complete knowledge as to where it is and where to find it, you're ahead of the game. Okay, so for the bottom card is a fixed point, we call it, for the following three shuffles: Klondike, Hypercoat, Upjog, in which the evens are set on top of the odds, and the Mange over under. Okay, so why don't we begin with, I call it K here, number 1K. K is listed as number 9. It's the Klondike shuffle, okay? And many of my viewers already know this because I've used this property. In fact, what I'm showing you here regarding the Klondike shuffle is true for any size packet, odd or even, okay? If you have a bottom card of interest there, Klondike shuffle is where you take the top and bottom off as one, set those down. Well, you already have retained your ace of spades at the bottom. It's safe. It almost doesn't matter what you do from here, okay? It won't hurt anything. It won't change the fact that you've preserved the ace of spades at the bottom. Okay, the next one listed right there, number 2, is labeled as an H, and that's number 8 on our list. It's called a hypercoat. Okay, so what is a hypercoat? Well, coating, C-O-A-T, stands for count out and transfer. It's like dealing out cards, dropping the rest on top. That's a, quote, coat, okay? A hypercoat is where you do that and you go through the entire packet of cards, and then you begin to go through it a second time, okay? Now, to be a true hypercoat, you cannot go through the cards more than twice. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, I have 8 cards here. Sorry, 9 cards. I apologize. 9 cards here. So that means I can count out 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So any number between 10 and 18 will end up preserving the ace of spades at the bottom. It's going to be returned to where it started. Okay, so hypercoat here is going to be just like one more than the packet size, but all the way up to double the packet size, and you stop there. So 10 to 18. So why don't we do 15? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There you go. Well, guess what? The ace of spades is still on the bottom. Now, one way that I used it, like as I mentioned recently, is I gave the spectator the option to name any of the 52 card names. Well, if you think about it, the shortest card name in the deck has 10 letters in it, like 2 of clubs or 6 of clubs, all the way up to 15 letters, like Queen of Diamonds, okay? Well, in that range of 10 to 15, those are hypercoats. And so you could ask for any of the 52 card names, your favorite one. Maybe they say Queen of Diamonds. Okay, very good. Q-U-E-N-O-F-D-I-A-M-O-N-D-S. That's a hypercoat. What does that mean? It means it leaves the ace, the bottom card where it is. The ace of spades at the bottom. Okay, so that's what a hypercoat is. And so depending on how you frame it, it can be a lot of fun actually, because just stating numbers, kind of boring, but asking for random card names really makes it interesting for the spectator. Okay, another way to leave the bottom card at the bottom is to do an up jog in which the even position cards are set on top of the odd position cards. Okay, and that's number 17 on our list. We're going to be setting the even positions on top of the odd. So how this works is you jog forward the even position cards, those in positions 2, 4, 6, 8, strip those out. So these are the even positions, these are the odd. We're stacking the evens on top of the odds, and that will keep the ace of spades at the bottom. So it has the bottom card as a fixed point. Okay, and now there's one more way actually to leave the bottom card on the bottom when the spectator's convinced that the cards are beyond the knowledge of anyone because of the messiness of the shuffle. And it's a mange over under. Okay, so how does this work? In fact, let me bring it up on our list. It's shuffle number 13. Okay, so how this works is you push the top card into your other hand, and then we're doing an over under, I believe. Right? So over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under. Okay. And that will leave the ace of spades, or the bottom card, at the bottom, guaranteed. Okay, so that takes care of the shuffles that leave the bottom at the bottom. Let's go ahead and look at what shuffles move the bottom card to the middle. Okay, so the first one on our list is a left-right shuffle in which we stack the right pile on top of the left, and that's shuffle number 11 on our list. Okay, so left, right, and then we're going to stack the right pile on top of the left. Okay, so that's guaranteed to move the original bottom card, so the ace of spades is no longer here. Why is that? It's because it's in the middle now. Okay, it's in the middle position where we want it to be. Okay, so that's one way. In fact, we need to reset everything. That's one way to move the bottom card to the middle. Okay, there's 3 other ways to do it. Another way to do it is to do an up jog in which you stack the odd position cards on top of the even position cards. And that's number 18. Okay, so this is where you jog forward the even position cards, those in positions 2, 4, 6, 8. These are the even, these are the odds. And we're stacking the odds on top of the evens, okay? And once again, the ace of spades will now have moved to the middle position. And there it is, right there in the middle, okay? And what's the next one? There's 2 more. Oh, yeah, the next one's quite interesting. It's called a coat N. Now, you have to realize, or let me reset the packet before I forget. Okay, so coat stands for count out and transfer. It's this dealing out and dropping the rest on top. Now, what's the N referring to? Well, you have to realize that the description of our odd size packet here is 2n, where n is any natural number, plus 1. Well, what would the n have to be for a packet of 9 cards? Well, n would have to be 4, right? Because 2 times 4 is 8. Plus 1 is 9. That's how many cards we have, okay? So we're claiming that if we, quote, coat 4 cards, it will move the original bottom card to the middle. So you just go 1, 2, 3, 4. So essentially, it's the whole number smaller than, quote, half the cards. Well, there's 9 cards. Half the cards would be 4.5 cards, right? That would make sense. So you just go down to, round down to 4, which is what we're doing here. Drop the rest on top, and that's guaranteed to move the original bottom card to the middle. And there it is. It's now in the middle. Okay? And then the final one for moving a bottom card to the middle is a down under. Now this is really cool here because look what happens. So in part 1, let's go back up here. Part 1, the top card actually can be moved to the bottom by way of the Australian down under. Once it's there, you can now move it to the middle position by way of what? The same shuffle, the Australian down under. Yeah, and when I discovered, and this is true for all odd-sized packets, when I discovered this, I thought that is really interesting, okay, and a lot of fun actually. So Australian down under, how's that work? Go down, under, 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 down. Last one goes on top. The middle card will now be the ace of spades, which started at the bottom. And there it is. Okay, so very nice result. Okay, and then the final bit here, we want to move the bottom card to the very top. We want to move it to the top again. Okay, so a nice way to do that is just a left-right shuffle in which you stack the left pile on top of the right. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at our list here. So that's shuffle number 10. Okay, so here you just go left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Stack the left on top of the right, and you will move the original bottom card all the way to the top of the packet, of the odd size packet. There it is at the top there. Okay, let's move it to the bottom for the next shuffle here. Another way to do it, in fact, maybe I'll do the mange, I'll do the third first, and then we'll talk about the 3 overcoats, since there's quite a bit there we can expound on. Okay, so maybe we'll do the third one next. That's the mange under over. Okay, so that's shuffle 14 here. So 14. So if you begin with an important card, card of interest at the bottom, you can move it to the top by way of the mange under over. So this is where you move the top card into your other hand. This one goes under, the next one goes over. Under, over, under, over, under, over. Okay. So what started at the bottom will now be at the very, very top. And there it is. There's our ace of spades. Okay. And then the final one for this video is abbreviated 3 OC. Okay. And that's shuffle number 9. It's the very last one on the list. Well, the 3 OC is an abbreviation for 3 identical overcoats. Okay. And remember, an overcoat is where you count out 50% or more of the cards and drop the rest on top. Well, in the case of 9 cards, it means you're going to count out 5 or more cards, up to 9, and then drop the rest on top. Okay. So if you perform that 3 times, it's guaranteed to move the bottom card, which I need to move it back down there, move the bottom card to the top. Okay. Now this is part of a much larger result that I talk about on my channel, and there's much that's been published about this result actually. So if you look here at the bottom, I have a note. I refer to these 3 identical overcoatings as the 3rd times a charm principle. So that is the name I've given it because I just feel like it's more descriptive of what's going on and it's an easier way to sell it. The original name is low down triple dealing. So I have a whole playlist of videos that use this principle, and you'll find it under the name 3rd times a charm. And I'll try to remember to put links in the description below so you can access those if you're interested. Okay, so let's go ahead and show that final one, and then we're done for this series actually. So here we are, number 2 right there. Okay, so 3 identical overcoats. Well, with 9 cards, you're just going to count out 5 or more, up to 9, and do it 3 times. And that process will always move the bottom card to the top. Well, what are some ways that you can sell this? Well, one way would be to ask the spectator for their favorite day of the week. And they can name any day of the week because it's in the range between 5 and 9 letters, as you can check. So what is your favorite day of the week? And we're going to do some magic with it. Well, if you phrase it that way, it's quite interesting what people will do, because a lot of times they'll assume that you are expecting a certain answer, like Friday. You know, that's kind of or Saturday or Sunday even. One of those days is their favorite day. And so in an effort to thwart you, they'll maybe give some obscure day that's not really their favorite day, but they're just trying to trip you up. Okay, but it doesn't matter. They can name any of them. So let's say they say, Tuesday's my favorite day. I don't like Mondays so much, but Tuesdays are great. Okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to spell out your favorite day of the week 3 times, and we'll see what happens. Now, if you've already kind of noted, maybe you are like straightening up the packet on the table and you note the identity of the bottom card. Now we know it's the ace of spades because that's the one we're working with. You can make use of that information. You can say, okay, I'm going to use your favorite day of the week to find my favorite card in the deck. And my favorite card in the deck is actually the ace of spades. Or you give, whatever card happens to be there as your favorite card. And we're going to use your favorite day to find it. Isn't that interesting? But I have found that a lot of times if I spell out your favorite day of the week once, it's not quite enough twice, it sometimes works, but if I spell it out 3 times, it's guaranteed to find my favorite card. At least that's been the case in the past. So let's see if it's still true. Okay, so Tuesday is your favorite day of the week. Okay, so Tuesday, Tuesday spelled once, Tuesday, spelled a second time. Now, third time's a charm. Tuesday. Did your favorite day of the week find my favorite card in the entire deck, which I said is the Ace of Spades? It did indeed. Oh boy. You have a very, very special favorite day of the week, because think about it. If you had chosen a different day of the week, it wouldn't have found my card. Now that ends up a note to you as a performer. That's a fib, right? Because it wouldn't have mattered which day of the week they listed. And that's why this third time's a charm principle is so remarkable, that you have such freedom to choose these values, and they really are moving the cards around in very different ways, but somehow that bottom card always rises to the top if you perform 3 identical overcoatings of a packet of cards. And what I'm saying regarding these overcoatings, it's true for an even size packet or odd. It happens to work for all size packets, which is wonderful. Well, anyway, I hope this has been helpful. So thank you for watching this video. And if you haven't watched the previous 2, take a look. And I appreciate your support and encourage you to take a look at other videos on the Absolute Math Magic channel.